You've heard the song. You've sung the Galileos. You've headbanged in the car. But Bohemian Rhapsody didn't start as a stadium anthem. It started as scraps of paper. Seriously. Late 1960s, a young art student named Farrokh Bulsara, still years away from becoming Freddie Mercury, is jotting down lines. Little fragments, bits of melody, a lyric here, a piano phrase there, and somewhere between the notes he's carrying a vision in his head, not just of a song, of the song. He doesn't know what it's called yet, but it has drama, it has operatic twists, it doesn't obey rules, it laughs at them. By the early 70s, he's got enough pieces to share something with his band. A working title. The Cowboy Song. No joke. Why? Because of one line, "Mama just killed a man." And when he sits at the piano and starts pounding it out, his bandmates don't laugh. They stare. Brian May would later say Freddie burst in with loads of bits of paper and just started playing like a man possessed. He had gaps built in, moments where he just paused and said, "Here, something operatic will happen." He didn't have it all yet, but he had the bones of a monster. Not 3 songs. One song with 3 souls. Summer 1975. Rockfield Studios, Wales. Queen walks in with a plan, or rather Freddie does. A 6-minute rock song with no chorus, a fake trial, a murder confession, and a choral breakdown that sounds like Mozart hijacked by aliens. The rest of the band? Game, but skeptical. The label? Laughing. The producer, Roy Thomas Baker? At first he thinks it's a joke. But Freddie's dead serious, and once they start recording, nobody's laughing anymore. They book 3 weeks, they stay 6. What happens in that studio is part creativity, part madness. Freddie starts laying the foundation, piano and vocal tracks. And then it's time for the voices. Not 1 harmony, not 10. Try over 160 separate vocal overdubs. Imagine this. Freddie, Brian May, and Roger Taylor standing around a mic, again and again, tracking operatic lines for hours. Galileo! Figaro! Magnifico! Over and over, in different octaves, different harmonies, stacking their voices like a human cathedral. The analog tape they were using wore thin from so many playbacks. Brian May once said you could see through it. That's how much they pushed the physical limits of technology. And these weren't happy accidents. Freddie had meticulously written the harmonies beforehand. He guided them through every single note. He had the opera section in his head before it existed anywhere else. Roger Taylor, who had to hit those glass-shattering falsettos. He called this process exhausting, and yet they kept going. Every bismillah had to be perfect. Roy Thomas Baker, now fully on board, helped them bend the rules of the studio. They bounced tape tracks again and again just to get more layers in. With only 24 tracks available, they pushed the system beyond what anyone thought possible. And here's the craziest part. Freddie still refused to cut it down. EMI said it was too long. Radio wouldn't touch it. Freddie's answer? If you cut it, you don't get it. This was a man on a mission. It wasn't just about making music, it was about realizing a vision, exactly as he heard it in his head, no compromises. So they built it, piece by piece, a ballad that explodes into opera, then morphs into a hard rock banger, and finally falls into the whispered nihilism, a Frankenstein monster of a song. But somehow, it worked. Here's where Bohemian Rhapsody pulls off its greatest trick. It's a 6-minute song with no chorus, 5 distinct musical styles, a plot that might be metaphorical or literal, and yet, it flows like water. So how the hell does that work? Well, think of it like a 3-act play. Act 1, the ballad, a confession in the dark. It opens with that haunting a cappella harmony, like a choir lost in space. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Then comes the piano. Soft, sorrowful. Freddie's voice enters, intimate and low, like he's whispering a secret at midnight. Mama just killed a man. It's a confession. But who he killed? Why? That's never explained. And that's the magic. It invites you into the emotion without spoon-feeding you the story. The arrangement stays sparse. Almost no drums, no bass. It's like the whole world holds its breath while this man unravels. The guitar solo, from sorrow to surreal. As the ballad builds to its breaking point, carry on, carry on! Brian May steps in. His guitar doesn't shred, it sings. It echoes Freddie's sadness, then gently starts to lift us away, like a camera panning out from our tragic narrator into a wider, weirder world. And then, the curtain rises. Act 2, the opera, a trial of the soul. Suddenly we're inside a full-blown opera. If Mozart and Monty Python had a baby. Galileo! Figaro! Bismillah! Voices fly back and forth like an angel and devil debating a man's fate. It's camp. It's chaos. It's brilliant. 3 band members, Freddie, Brian, Roger, are layered dozens of times over, turning into a chorus of angels, demons, and judges. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. Bismillah! No, we will not let you go. Is it a metaphorical trial, a fever dream, a last-minute plea to the heavens? All of the above? None of the above? Doesn't matter. The emotion lands. The tension tightens like a rope. And then, snap. Act 3. The Rock. Rage unleashed. So you think you can stone me and spit in my eye? The guitars explode. Drums thunder. Freddie's voice turns into a roar. This is the release. The fury. The rebellion. It's the moment where grief becomes anger. And Queen doesn't hold back. Brian May's guitar tears through the speakers. Roger Taylor's drums crash like thunder. John Deacon's bass pulses like a heartbeat on fire. It's the headbanging part, the Wayne's World part. But emotionally, it's the sound of fighting back against guilt, fate, judgment, whatever. And then just like that, the coda, whispers in the wind. Everything falls away. Just piano, just Freddie, his voice barely above a whisper. Nothing really matters. To me, it's a chilling, beautiful end. Like the curtain falls and you're left sitting in the dark, breathless. That final line, any way the wind blows, and then silence. It shouldn't work, but it does, because it's built like a story, not a song. Each section shifts the emotional landscape. Each builds on the last. And somehow, all the pieces, opera, ballad, rock, ambient whisper, fit. This isn't just a medley. It's a journey. A young man confesses, faces judgment, explodes in rage, and ends in surrender. That's not a song. That's a tragedy in 6 minutes. Freddie Mercury once said of the song, "It has a fantasy feel. I think people should just listen to it, think about it, and then make up their own minds." And with that one quote, he handed the world a musical Rorschach test. The guilt. Start with the obvious. A young man confesses to murder. Mama just killed a man. He's overwhelmed, begs for forgiveness, says goodbye to his mother. The whole first act is dripping with remorse. I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all. It feels literal, like a crime of passion. But it's also so metaphorical, so open-ended, that it begs for deeper interpretation. The identity theory. Here's where things get personal and powerful. Some fans and scholars have suggested that killing a man wasn't a crime. It was a transformation. What if the man he killed was his former self? Freddie was born Farrokh Bulsara, grew up in a conservative Parsi family, immigrated from Zanzibar, attended boarding school, and slowly, privately, began discovering who he truly was. In the 1970s, being a queer, flamboyant frontman in the world of macho rock music, that wasn't safe. That wasn't normal. That was revolutionary. So some interpret the song as an allegory for coming out. The crime is living his truth. The trial is society judging him. The rage is against those who spit in his eye. And the final nothing really matters is resignation, or maybe liberation. The operatic symbols, but then we get to the opera. And here's where it gets surreal. Scaramouche, a mischievous Italian clown. Fandango, a lively Spanish dance. Galileo, science versus dogma. Bismillah, Arabic for in the name of God. Beelzebub, the devil. It's chaos. It's theatrical. But it's not random. These symbols swirl around like voices in his head. Some plead for mercy. Others scream for damnation. We will not let you go. Let him go! It's a spiritual tug of war. A cosmic trial. And at the center of it, a man caught between guilt and identity. The art of not explaining. Freddie never confirmed any of this, never gave a clean answer, and that's the genius of it. Instead of handing us a clear-cut meaning, he left it open. And because of that, the song became universal. To one person, it's about a crime. To another, it's about shame. To another, it's about finally saying, "This is who I am, take it or leave it." It's operatic because it's exaggerated, but it's also deeply human underneath the spectacle. The emotion beneath the mask. Freddie was famous for being larger than life. The mustache, the struts, the stage domination. But friends and bandmates have said he was also private, insecure, a man who poured his soul into his songs but wore a mask everywhere else. Bohemian Rhapsody might be the most honest he ever got, not by being direct, but by being poetic. Brian May once said, he never explained the lyrics, but I think he put a lot of himself into that song. And that's the key. The emotion is real, even if the plot is ambiguous. It's October 1975. Queen walks into the offices of EMI with their shiny new track. 6 minutes long, no chorus, opera breakdown in the middle, and Freddie says, "This is the single." The label stares. No one's gonna play this on the radio. It's too long. It's too weird. And from a music industry perspective, they weren't wrong. The golden rule of radio at the time? Keep it under 4 minutes, keep it simple. Verse, chorus, verse. This song, it had thunderbolts, falsettos, Arabic phrases, and no chorus at all. But Queen doesn't flinch. Freddie refuses to cut it, point blank. You either play the whole thing, or not at all. So what do? They go rogue. The pirate move that changed everything. Freddie hands a copy to his friend, Capital Radio DJ Kenny Everett, with a wink. "Don't play it," he says, obviously meaning please play it. And Everett does. Not once, not twice. 14 times in one weekend. Listeners go nuts. They start flooding record stores asking for this mysterious Queen opera song. The buzz is deafening. And suddenly the label changes its tune. They release it, uncut, just as Freddie envisioned. And then, history, chart carnage. Bohemian Rhapsody hits number 1 in the UK. And then it stays there. Not for 1 week, not for 2, 9 straight weeks. It crushes everything else in its path. Comedy songs, pop singles. This weird 6-minute Frankenstein track becomes the sound of 1975. Then it crosses the ocean. In the US, where Queen was still building an audience, the song climbs to number 9. Unheard of for something this unconventional. And suddenly a new rule was born. If it's brilliant enough, you can break the rules. The awards roll in. Freddie wins the Ivor Novello Award for songwriting. Critics start backpedaling, audiences can't get enough. At concerts, the band knows the operatic section is impossible to perform live. So what do? They roll the tape, drop the lights, walk off stage, and the crowd sings it for them. By the time they return to shred the rock finale, the room is already on fire. It becomes the centerpiece of their shows. And when Queen takes the stage at Live Aid 1985, their most iconic performance, what do they start with? Bohemian Rhapsody. Lightning strikes twice. Then comes the 90s. In 1991, Freddie Mercury dies, and the world mourns. Queen re-releases Bohemian Rhapsody in the UK, and it hits number 1 again. Same song, same version. 16 years later. But they're not done yet, because in 1992, a little film called Wayne's World drops. Cue the car, the stereo, the headbanging. A new generation is introduced to Bo Rap and loses their minds. The song re-enters the US charts, and this time, it goes even higher. Number 2 on Billboard. That's nearly 2 decades after it was written. Let's fast forward. It's not 1975 anymore, not 1992. It's now... And somehow still, people are discovering Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time. A 6-minute rock opera from the vinyl era is topping streaming charts in the digital age. How? Because it's not just music, it's memory, it's theater, it's legend, awards, records, and resurrection. Let's talk numbers for a second. Not because stats matter most, but because they prove something wild. Grammy Hall of Fame, 2004. Diamond certification in the US, over 10 million units sold. The most streamed song of the 20th century. Over 1 billion YouTube views of its original music video. Think about that. A song that radio stations didn't want to play became the most watched, most streamed, most celebrated rock song of its century. Mercury's eternal stage. After Freddie's death in 1991, the song took on even more weight. It wasn't just a hit. It was a eulogy. When it topped the UK charts again in tribute, it wasn't because of a marketing push. It was because fans were grieving. And this was the song they reached for. And then came 2018. The Bohemian Rhapsody biopic drops. Rami Malek channels Freddie. The film wins 4 Oscars. And that final scene? Wembley, Live Aid, Freddie leading with that fist in the air. The whole world saw it again. And once again, the song exploded back into the cultural bloodstream. A song that unites strangers. Here's where things get beautiful. Drop the needle on Bo Rap in almost any setting, a bar, a party, a stadium, and watch what happens. By Galileo, the whole room's singing. By So You Think You Can Stone Me, they're full on performing. It's theater you get to be in. It's catharsis, humor, emotion, camp, pain, all in one ride. People don't just know the song, they feel ownership over it, and every generation that hears it seems to get it, even if they don't know the lyrics, even if they don't know Queen. That's magic. Influence that ripples forever. Every band that experiments with genre bending now, they're walking in Queen's shadow. Every artist who writes something wild and says, screw the formula, let's try it, they're channeling Freddie. And music videos? Queen's original floating head promo for this track basically invented the form. MTV owes them. Even parodies, from the Muppets to TikTok stars, keep the flame alive, not by mocking it, but by loving it out loud. It's not nostalgia, it's not just Wayne's World, or the Oscars, or YouTube virality. Bohemian Rhapsody endures because it is genuinely that good. It's bold, it's strange, it's beautiful, and it never compromises. Freddie never compromised. He built something that shouldn't work, and made it immortal. Like Mike Myers said when he fought to get it into Wayne's World, it was the most beloved rock song for every generation I knew. He was right. It's easy to think of Bohemian Rhapsody as just a fun, over-the-top classic. A bit of headbanging, a little drama, a karaoke crowd pleaser, but underneath the Galileos and Bismillas is something far more powerful. A truth about why this song still grabs us by the soul nearly 50 years later. It's not just because it's a musical roller coaster, it's because it was born of absolute conviction. Freddie Mercury didn't write a hit. He crafted a 6-minute opera rock odyssey by hand. He sketched harmonies before he sang them. He heard orchestras in his head and willed them into existence with nothing but tape, sweat, and stubbornness. He wasn't chasing charts. He was chasing a vision. And when people said it was too long, too weird, too impossible, he said, take it or leave it. But here's the thing. It's not just the structure, it's not just the voices, it's the raw, aching emotion behind it. This wasn't some abstract art piece, it was a man, complex, flamboyant, deeply private, pouring himself into a song in a way he never fully did in interviews or on stage. It's sorrow, it's guilt, it's rage, it's acceptance. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all. So you think you can stone me and spit in my eye? Nothing really matters to me. It doesn't matter whether we understand every metaphor. We feel it. Every note, every scream, every whisper. The world tried to tell Freddie it wouldn't work. Too theatrical, too dramatic, too weird. But he trusted the weird, trusted the drama. He didn't make it safe, he made it real. And because of that, the song became timeless. It survived trends, outlived its critics, and became the kind of art that grows with you. Listen at 15, and it's a strange, awesome ride. Listen at 30, and you start feeling the regret. Listen at 60, and it breaks your heart in new ways. That's not just a hit, that's a masterpiece. So what does Bohemian Rhapsody teach us? That great art doesn't have to explain itself. That weirdness isn't a flaw, it's a fingerprint. That the most unforgettable work is often the one people said and would never work. And that when you pour yourself into something, not a halfway, but fully, it resonates. Decades later, across generations, across languages, Freddie once said, people should just listen to it, think about it, and then make up their own minds. That's the beauty of it. Bohemian Rhapsody is everyone's song, because it was so deeply Freddie's song. It is joy and pain, excess and elegance, grief and glitter. And whether we're whispering, nothing really matters, or screaming, we will not let you go, at full volume, we're all part of the magic now. It isn't just the real life, it isn't just fantasy, it's a masterpiece, and it always will be.